Losing to this Man United team now and the current guys in this format is frowned upon. It's going to be frowned upon. So as good as it is for PSG, they've got to get the job done. Otherwise, it ain't going to look good on him.
He's got a point, hasn't he, Jules? Excuse me.
You're going to live through this? Jules?
He's got a point, because if it's Barcelona knock you out, you can maybe put up an excuse.
Yeah, you're right. And the pressure would be on PSG very much so. I think if things are very similar in 2 months' time on the 12th of February when they play their first leg at Old Trafford, they will feel the pressure like they did against Napoli and Liverpool and Red Star Belgrade in match day 4, 5 and 6 of the group stage. And I think they would have learned a lot from those 3 games because it was so tight. And it was like, we lose against Liverpool and we're out at the Parc des Princes. And they went and win that game, which is maybe something they wouldn't have done in previous years. So having such a tough group stage, I think will help them in the last 16 against United, and if they do go through, then after that as well.
Does anybody else want to talk? Because I don't think our presenter can talk at the moment.
How many excuses do PSG? I mean, Jules is sounding there as though he's already making excuses.
What?
I mean, talking about, well, if it had been Barcelona that PSG lost, then maybe Tommy Tuchel would be okay. How many excuses are PSG managers going to get and come up with?
Jules?
No, I don't think I was looking for any excuses. I just think that against the Juventus or Barcelona side, they might not have been favourite.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at. So you're basically saying, well, now the pressure's on because they're playing Manchester United. Had they been playing a Barcelona or Juventus, maybe. Oh, hold on a second. They're under enormous pressure. You talk about a team that has just basically failed year in, year out in the Champions League, and you kind of try to give them another wee excuse.
Alejandro Moreno is joining me as we delve even further into the round of 16 draw that took place today of the UEFA Champions League and to one of the more juicy fixtures, and that is Juventus up against Atletico Madrid. Alejandro, one of our good friends here at ESPN FC, Mark Ogden, actually described this as the tie of the round. Is that how you see it?
This is what I see. From both teams, when they're sitting in their locker rooms or TV rooms or green room areas in their training facilities, and then draw comes up and they see Atletico Madrid that they're going to play Juventus, and Juventus sees that they're going to play Atletico Madrid, both sets of players and representatives saying, no, not this guys, not this guys. Both uncomfortable to play against. They seem to be mirror image with each other, and they're teams that they're going to defend well, and they're going to be very organized, and they're going to be physical in the midfield. And then you start looking for what the tiebreaker could be between these 2 very closely matched teams. And you cannot, you simply cannot overlook the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo now plays for Juventus, and that in Champions League we have seen this guy deliver time and time again for Real Madrid, the way that he has done over the last few years. And that's the reason he's with Juventus. For this sort of moment in which 2 teams that are evenly matched, that they're going to defend well, that they're going to be physical, somebody has to give you something special. And if it's about somebody giving you something special, I trust Cristiano Ronaldo to do that more so than I do Antoine Griezmann to do that in this sort of setting, because I have seen it. I have seen it from Ronaldo, and time again, he's done something that we all just kind of stood up and clapped and say, yeah, that's something next level. That's what gives Juventus the edge. You have the Ronaldo factor. That's why you brought him into here. We'll see if it pays off.
One of these standout ties, no doubt about it. Liverpool taking on Bayern Munich. The bookies can't separate them. Goodness me, both are 11-10 on to advance to the next round.
Make your minds up, eh?
Well, Stevie, what do you reckon?
I can separate them.
Go on then.
I think Liverpool are favourites. I think Liverpool's a better side, no question. They've got everything going for them that Bayern don't. I mean, they've got youth, you know. Actually, it boils down to all Bayern Munich have is individuals that, no question, have ability and experience. That's about it, you know, because as a unit, as a team, I think they're way, way, way behind Liverpool.
Wow.
Yeah, defensively they're slow. I mean, the middle of the park doesn't particularly scare you, does it? Kimmich sometimes, Alcantara, Nagbe maybe. And then up front, Müller, past his best. Lewandowski's not had a great year. So, listen, yes, Bayern have some players with ability, but as far as a team goes, I think Liverpool
So
are way ahead of them.
Muller's suspended, but as is Virgil van Dijk for that first leg, which is at Anfield.
Yeah, I would still suggest Liverpool are favourites, though. I wouldn't swap any of the front three for any of Bayern's. I wouldn't swap any of the middle three. So, I'm not particularly keen on Boateng and Hummels or Süle because they can't run.
It's an impromptu combined 11.
Honestly, I really am. When I saw this draw, I was absolutely delighted with it. I think Liverpool, if they play to the capabilities, will beat Bayern.
It's very close, surprisingly so.
Honestly, two teams that are great to watch. Like the Liverpool-Bayern Munich game, it is. However, I would say this at the moment. I think if I were to pick it now, I would just err on the side of Dortmund at this moment in time. I think they're playing the best they've played for a long time. They've got youth and experience in the team. They've got pace in the team. They've got guys that can come off the bench. It's very tight, but I would just err on the side of Dortmund.
Just a reminder, Dortmund 9 points clear at the top of the Bundesliga. Stephen, who have you got in this one?
Difficult, isn't it?
It is difficult.
Dortmund are slight favourites.
Well, the bookies have got them slight favourites. I would say that this is going to come down to Tottenham's back line. Right. If Tottenham defend the way they can, you know, at their best, they're really organised. They can keep everything in front of them. They can make challenges. You know, Tottenham's got one of the best back lines in football right now when they're at their best. And if they stop Dortmund, they will win the game.
So you're saying?
I'm going to go for Tottenham. I think they can do it.
These are two teams that I think are at their best when it's frantic, when they can press high up the field, when they can get people running, when they can get people in behind. I think Borussia Dortmund does a better version of that than Spurs does. And because I have a history of picking Spurs and going wrong with Spurs, there's no chance in Champions League that I'm picking Spurs. I'll go Borussia Dortmund.
Jules, this should be fun.
It would be really fun. You could easily see a 3-2 win in the first leg for someone and then a 2-2 draw in the second leg or something like that with loads of goals and loads of intensity. Remember, they played each other in the group stage last season and Spurs won both home and away at Wembley and in Dortmund. And it's a very similar Spurs team than it was last year, to be fair. However, it's a completely different Dortmund team with Lucien Favre in charge, with a lot of youth. I mean, and you know what amazing young players they have. Jadon Sancho, obviously, but also Brun Larsen, Hakimi, Akanji at the back, Diallo, the French centre-back too. I mean, they've got so much. And also the experience of Mario Götze, Marco Rose, and others as well. It's going to be fascinating. I will go for Dortmund slightly, and because the second leg is in Germany.
Hello and welcome to Extra Time. Lots of tweets today about the Champions League draw. First one for you, Craig. You're excited about Roma-Porto.
It's not the top of my list, no.
Probably the bottom, I'd imagine. No, that's not
Why
just
do you
you.
hate Roma?
It's Porto I don't like.
Uh-oh.
There's other games.
There we go.
Well, Roma's defence should be quite a high goal scoring game, but it's not. I don't think it's top of many's.
Jules, with your Arsenal way, should they focus on the top four or the Europa League?
Arsenal, no, I think they should focus on the top four. I think that would be it would be huge for Unai Emery's first season to reach the top four and finish in the top four in England, and then, you know, give it a good go in the Europa League. I think he's got enough players. Okay, there's a lot of injuries right now, but hopefully by the second part of the season, a lot of players will come back, and then they can probably try to fight on both competitions. But surely the league has to be the priority, and hope and trying to finish in the top four.
I thought Jules was going to help me out the other day with those PSG bloggers.
Yes,
he was quiet though.
Yeah.
Jules didn't quite
Jules isn't a big. You're not a big Twitter person, are you, Jules? I don't see you tweet very often.
No, not too much. No.
Is that a conscious decision, or
I saw what happened with Greg. I saw what happened with Greg at the weekend.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know what happened with Craig, is it a PSG website or podcast?
Yeah.
And you had a little tete-a-tete?
They tweeted in about how they don't. All the TV stations just ignore them and we're specialists, and I pointed out that as part of other things that we have Julian on to talk them and to talk to them.
And you said, you know, I value Jules' experience and what he has to say. And then what did Jules say? Did he back you up at all?
Well, what?
No. Silence. Silence.
He said I would take Jules over a blogger any day because he's a proper journalist, and I thought And then Jules went, oh, I'm out of this one.
See you guys later.
And then I just reached for
Sorry,
the mute.
I only saw it today. I
Needless to
I know. I mean, yeah, I'm.
Needless to
It's
say,
a family,
needless
Craig,
to
it's
say.
family. So
I love that. And needless to say, and listen, everybody's entitled to opinion. If people want to blog, that's fine. Just go and do it, but don't come on and try and call yourself specialists. Anyway, the mute button got quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't be bothered with it, just constantly. Oh yeah, you guys do this and you don't know this. You know, mute. Get lost.
That's a very strong mute right there.
I know, that's a proper mute, isn't it? I'd like a Steve Nicol blog.
You guys just don't understand PSG. It's a very complex club. That's what I was told. You just don't get it.
Away from...
You don't get it, Nico.
How is Twitter going, Steve?
Yeah, still off it, isn't he?
People are still following them.
I've got more followers now than I did when I was on it.
We're just waiting.
Yes.
Waiting.
Or they come back.
I can't figure out what that means.
Probably because it's making more sense now.
How much of a difference is the lack of a trophy-winning experience mentality? Could that be for Liverpool when it comes to crucial business end of the season? Good question.
Why don't you give me one of your percentages? You normally love throwing in a, well, what percent?
This isn't really a percent.
Well, it is. It is.
Well, go on then, ask yourself the question and answer it.
Well, because basically the problem you have is when you get close to winning a major trophy, the key is not to think about it, the key is to concentrate on what you're doing at the time. And the second you start thinking about it, that affects your performance.
Right.
So if Liverpool players start thinking about, for example, winning the league with 3 games to go,
Yeah.
then it could affect the performance. So there is a percentage, I'm not quite sure how much, it depends on each individual, but there's definitely an argument that having not won a trophy before will affect you.
I want Mourinho gone as much as anyone. But who can United get that can help turn things around?
Who can they get right now? It's a difficult answer to come up with. However, it doesn't make it right for this thing to continue to go on a tailspin. At some point, you got to put a gap on it. You got to be able to stop it and say, okay, fine, we're not going to go much higher than this, but let's not continue to go lower and lower. And that's a problem at Manchester United. That the negative momentum has not been stopped, will not stop, and will continue to go in that same direction until a change is made.
What about a Zidane Wenger?
I never answered the question.
I did say that it would be difficult to come up with
music
that answer
gone?
right now.
No, music's still going.
So you don't want to answer the question?
No.
Well, the guys, the question is who?
You want a name?
We don't come in here.
You want a name?
We don't come in here, Dan, right, to not answer questions, do we?
I answered the question.
No, you never.
I said a name would be difficult to come up right now because all those names are taken.
Right, but have a go.
Okay, what? Just throw up a name? Well, okay, Zinedine Zidane. There you go.
Zinedine Zidane.
Somebody you think. Well, the question is,
Well, Zinedine Zidane. I just threw a name.
who can help turn things around?
Zinedine Zidane.
That's a good shout.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Who do you think?
Pochettino. Great.
He's at Spurs.
He's at Spurs, so right now you couldn't
He's not
turn.
really Spurs now, is he? Stevie?
Yeah, no manager that's at another club has ever left to go to another club, have they?
Oh, so Pochettino's going to leave Spurs and go to United
I
in
never
January.
said that. You said that. The question was,
You said Pochettino! Middle of the
who
season.
can United get that can help turn things around?
Right, that if
You
it's
said Zidane.
if
I
Mourinho-
said Pochettino. What's the problem?
Pochettino has a job with a current
Oh,
team.
and a manager with a job. That's never broken the contract and gone to another team ever. But that's not the question.
What?
The question is, who can help them?
Why are you singing like this?
I don't know.
Two of the guys that stick out are Pochettino, who's not available at the moment, and the other
But
guy,
he's got a team.
and Lucien Favre at Dortmund, has just done an absolutely amazing job so far. But I'll be honest with you, if I was a United fan, I'd pretty much take anybody on a short-term basis between now and the end of the season. If we hypothetically they're going to, well, if we think they're going to go out,
that's exactly what I just said, and you came after me. That's exactly what I just said.
Just joining in the conversation.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to join in.
Sorry, Greg. Go ahead.
You've got I noticed. Have you noticed how angry he's got?
Yes.
Months.
He's getting angry, he's getting
I'm not
sweaty.
I'm as well.
Smelly.
I don't know what it is. It must be age.
If United are keeping Mourinho on the job because of it can't be because of the Champions League, because if they think they're going to put PSG out or going to run in that competition, they're in cloud cuckoo land. So the only other thing they're fighting for is to try and somehow claw back into that fourth spot. So apart from the payoff, which I don't know how much it would be,
24 million.
24.
That's what the newspapers are reporting.
well, he's not going to walk.
No.
He's not going to walk.
Jules, where do we stand on Zidane?
Zidane is a no for now. He wouldn't go there halfway through the season in the mess they're in. To be fair, the language is still a problem. If they were saying to him, you get the job in the summer and you've got that amount of time, if you want to learn English, if you want to get ready, if you want to work on the recruitment for next summer, etc., that might be different. But coming right now in December, I don't think he would do it.
Final question, we talked about this during the show. Will Juve versus Atleti really be one of the best ties or a snooze fest? Jules gave his argument, you gave your argument.
Yeah.
Steve got brought in by both arguments.
Yes. Couldn't make his mind up. I think it'll be a good game.
Why?
Because both sides have got very, very good players. Your glass is always half empty.
A tactical battle.
Oh no.
Tend to be lots of tension.
You don't want tension, you don't want your game for tension, do you? You want goals, action, excitement.
No, you just listen to him. He's not a connoisseur, are you?
No, exactly.
Sing to him. Sing to him again.
He just wants one thing, and that's one thing only.
Right, that's it. Steve's got to go and have a shower. We'll be back tomorrow. Are you here tomorrow?
Days tomorrow.
Tuesday.
No.
Oh, what are you going to do?
Shower.
Yay! It's Tuesday, shower day!
I've got a problem to solve. It might take a while.
So now that we know the Champions League draw is set, Alejandro Moreno is joining me to look at one of the more juicier or more interesting clashes of the round of 16, Ale. And I say this because if we look at some statistics coming from 538.com, you'll see that they have given, in the matchup of Ajax against Real Madrid, Ajax the edge as favorites going into this clash. Now, we know the troubles that Real Madrid have been facing this season, but has it really come to that, Ale?
I don't think it has. I know this is a difficult time for Real Madrid, but let me tell you, if I'm at Ajax and publicly I'm asked about this, I'll give you the same answers that they're going to give you. Look, we're excited about this opportunity. This is going to be a great challenge for us. It's going to be great for our players to be in this sort of environment, and we're going to prepare our players in the best manner possible in order to give ourselves the best chance to advance past this round.
Sounds like a team with nothing to lose.
Well, correct. And that's what they're going to say publicly. But behind closed doors, when they see that Real Madrid pops up as who they're playing, it's not like they're going, yay! Yes!
We got it!
Real Madrid! Yes!
Do you see where they're given the edge? Because it is obviously a younger squad, new resurgence at Ajax.
See, but what some of the statistics may not take into consideration is the presence of Real Madrid and the history of Real Madrid. And although those things don't seem to play a part, whether you complete a pass or not, when you step into the Santiago Bernabeu, and it is that environment, and it is the history of that club, and it is the fact that this is a team that, oh, mind you, defending champions. Now, there are a lot of things that have gone wrong for Real Madrid this season, and yet nobody wants to play Real Madrid. Nobody wants to play Real Madrid in Champions League because they become a different team. We've seen it time and time again. Now, you take Ronaldo away from that equation, it makes them more vulnerable. And perhaps we won't see the best version of Real Madrid. But it seems to me, like in Champions League, this team turns it. They turn a corner. They seem to focus in a way that they don't focus elsewhere. They put their best performances together. Coming into the stage, last year, they were playing against PSG, and he was like, nah, that's it. Real Madrid, it's gone. See you guys later. Not so much. Real Madrid is the sort of team that you have to stab 1,000 times. You have to run them over, and then once they're behind you, you got to back up and run them over again, and make sure that they're dead.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, they'll come up and bite you. That's what they do. It's what they've done in this tournament, and I expect them to do it again. They're going to make a run in Champions League, and Ajax cannot be excited about playing against Real Madrid.
Well, as Alejandro said, Real Madrid know exactly what to do to win this tournament. So easily, we're thinking that they are the favorites in this tie. We all got out of bed early this morning, but it's all for a very good reason. The round of 16 draw for the Champions League is set, and Gab Marcotti is joining us all the way from London. Gab, some interesting matchups there, but which ones stand out to you the most? Which ones get you really excited?
Well, I love the Champions League at this stage, Alexis, because we get heavyweight clashes and everything is on the line. From a purely aesthetic point of view, Lucien Favre's Borussia Dortmund taking on Tottenham, Favre versus Pochettino, two of the, I think, more interesting managers tactically in Europe right now. Bayern against Liverpool. How about pedigree there? Liverpool trying to get back to the final. Klopp against Bayern once again, the man who turned them down against the Bayern side, who are, let's face it, they've had their noses bloodied a little bit early this season, but could be an entirely different story come February. Atletico Madrid and Juventus, not a good draw at all for Max Allegri. El Cholo Simeone knows how to go very deep in this competition. And of course, Jose Mourinho, who of course needs a trip to Paris Saint-Germain like he needs a hole in the head right now.
Oh, that's going to be a tough one indeed. Manchester United's defense trying to keep off the likes of Neymar and Coba. Let's talk a bit more about the Italian teams. You mentioned Juventus. What about Roma up against Porto? How do you feel about that one?
Well, look, they're not actually going to say this, but given they finished second, they'll probably say, yeah, Porto's the kind of team we want to play. Look, it's been a tough run for Roma and for Eusebio Di Francesco. I think there was a moment when they weren't so sure they were even going to get this far in the competition. But and this is no disrespect to Porto, who've got a tremendous record and who very much deservedly topped their group. But, you know, if you had to pick, if you had to choose your poison, this is the poison you would pick.
And as for Juventus, you mentioned that it is going to be a little bit of a tough draw for them with Atletico Madrid. But do you overall just see them going through regardless?
Yeah, I mean, look, on paper, I think Juventus top to bottom are a better side. Max Allegri, you know, I mentioned before how Diego Simeone knows how to get far in this competition. Well, gee, so does Max Allegri. He's reached the final twice, of course. And also, since Cristiano Ronaldo cares about these things, I think Atletico, I'm right in saying, Atletico Madrid are the team against whom he scored the third most goals in his entire career. So I think he'll be quite pleased with a return to the Spanish capital.
Well, as you said, Allegri knows how to go far in this competition, and definitely so does Cristiano Ronaldo. So that will be an interesting matchup indeed, along with the others. We cannot wait. Bring on next year, and we'll be tracking it all here at ESPN FC. Well, the Champions League round of 16 draw is set, and Gab Marcotti is joining me as we look ahead to the fixtures regarding the Premier League clubs. Gab, some will be very happy, others not so much. Just walk us through them.
Well, I think one above all will be very happy, and that's Manchester City. You know, this whole narrative about how City fans hate UEFA, and maybe the feeling's even a little bit mutual. I don't think they can complain with this season because they probably had the easiest on paper group stage out of all the English clubs, and they certainly, again on paper, have the easiest round of 16 draw up against Schalke, who of course are in the bottom half of the Bundesliga table right now.
Now let's talk about Manchester United, because I think some part of Manchester was crying today and the other half was definitely laughing with everything you just said. Up against PSG, just was this worst case scenario for Jose Mourinho and his men given the state of the club right now?
Well, look, it's obviously not good. I think, yeah, you may be right. I was just thinking, you know, which teams have been most dominant this year. You know, for all the issues that we saw with Paris Saint-Germain losing at Liverpool, that's the only game they've lost this season in all competitions, and even that came with an injury time goal. If you're Manchester United, you ask yourself, you probably didn't want to play Barcelona and Messi. That would have been pretty bad too. You knew you couldn't play Juventus because you played them before. You know, the tough thing, Alexis, is that this game's going to be played in a couple months' time. We don't even know what state United are going to be in. Dare I say, Michael Carrick might be the manager at that point. I honestly don't know. What I would say, and I think this is something Jose Mourinho might leverage in this, there's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure on Paris Saint-Germain as well in this game. Let's not forget the benchmark for them is the Champions League. They've had a couple early exits, some of them in controversial circumstances the last couple of years. So there's going to be a lot of pressure. It's going to be very draining, the whole build-up to this game. And I think it's really going to stretch Thomas Tuchel, who is a very good manager, but really hasn't been in this position before.
Now let's talk about Liverpool and Spurs, because both of them are awaiting trips to Germany to play against Dortmund and Bayern Munich. Which of the two do you think will be relishing their matchup more?
Well, look, I don't think either team thinks, oh wow, we got an easy draw. I mean, also because when you finish second, your options are going to be a little bit limited. I think in the case of Liverpool, they're going to need to project forward, and again, I go back to this, in a couple months' time, things could be very different. Bayern Munich, their noses have been bloodied this season. They've struggled under Niko Kovac. There were moments of real tension. They're 9 points back in the Bundesliga. Who knows where they'll be in February. It could be something where they put all their eggs in the Champions League basket. I think they're always going to be a very tough out, even when they're underperforming, simply because of the individuals they have. As far as Liverpool, the big concern to me is, you lost each of your 3 Champions League groups away from home. Obviously, you lost on the road at Roma last year too. This is something that Jurgen Klopp can't always count on the power of the Kop and Anfield to turn things around in a two-legged affair. So that's something to look out for. With Spurs, it's an interesting one because Mauricio Pochettino against Lucien Favre. Sorry?
It's an exciting one too.
It's an exciting one. I mean, we've seen Borussia Dortmund be free scoring, probably the most fun team to watch in all of Europe. But it's Lucien Favre, so we also know that there could be situations where if they need to shut up shop, they've got the experience in the middle of the pitch, the likes of Witsel, Delaney. They know how to get a little bit feisty as well. I think the key for Pochettino is have everybody fit, as many guys fit as he can have, and go out there and try to impose Tottenham's way of playing on Dortmund. It's a tall order, but certainly not beyond the realm of possibility.
All right, thanks so much as always, Gab Marcotti. Bring on February. We cannot wait, and we'll be tracking it all right here on ESPN FC.
Ali, do you like these changes?
It's not perfect, and when you make changes, there's people that are going to pick at certain things. However, I do like, and the highlight for me is that there is no international break. That when you start the playoffs, it's a process that takes you all the way through, and you don't have teams that have created momentum all of a sudden stop. The interest on the league stops because you have to pay attention to international competition, and then you sort of have to pick up that momentum again. It doesn't quite work. The other thing that I like, actually, is the single elimination, simply because it gives value to what you do in the regular season. So teams can't just back their way into the playoffs and think that they're just going to run their way through the playoffs all the way to MLS Cup final. This allows teams that have had a good regular season to at the very least, have the advantage of playing at home.
Do you like it, Stevie? One leg?
I'd say not. I'm not so keen on one leg, I'll be honest. I'm delighted that we'll no longer have this ridiculous wait for games before and after international breaks. I think that's huge. The one thing that does surprise me is that the owners, when I was in MLS, always wanted, if you got to the playoffs, they always wanted to have a tie at home.
Right.
And I'm shocked that the owners have actually voted not to do that. So that was the first thing that surprised me and sticks. That's the thing that sticks out for me most. Which
puts an onus in the regular season then, to try and get that home.
It does, yes.
But
yeah.
I'm the same. I like the single elimination.
Yeah.
I think it really puts pressure on. And it puts added pressure on you during the regular season, but it puts pressure on that one game, that do or die, almost like the final. I don't like the 50% plus of 14 teams.
I think it's 58%. I think.
I don't like that. I don't like that. I mean, it's like, it's basically just saying, like, I mean, unless you're absolutely garbage, then you're probably going to go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I don't like that, but the single elimination, yeah, I like it.